Welcome to this Tutor to You revision video that looks at the second part of the Alaska case study, focusing on the challenges found in cold environments. If you haven't studied this case study, you may wish to watch the Svalbard videos instead. This is part of Paper 1, Unit B, The Living World. Let's start off by reminding ourselves of where Alaska is. Alaska is an enormous state and is part of the USA despite not being attached to it. It borders Canada and the Arctic Ocean and is nearly 2 million square kilometres. It is one of the most sparsely populated places on Earth due to it being so cold and remote. Alaska has around 750,000 residents made up of indigenous communities and permanent settlers, mainly from Europe. However, there are also many economic migrants who travel to Alaska temporarily in search of work with the many oil and mining companies there. Around half of Alaska's population live in the state capital of Anchorage. The harsh conditions in Alaska make life very challenging. The first challenge that we're going to have a look at is the extreme cold in Alaska. Alaska is a huge state. However, very few people live in the northern interior due to the extreme cold and long, dark days over winter. Permafrost and the short growing season means that crops cannot be grown in this area. Therefore, the land is unable to support people. Early settlers chose to set up communities along the coastline where they could fish and hunt seals. Traditional Inuit people survived the extreme temperatures by using caribou skins to make coats and seal skins to make boots. They also lined their clothing with goose down. However, more recently, these indigenous communities have adopted modern man-made materials such as Gore-Tex. Let's move on to inaccessibility. This is a huge problem in Alaska. Population density in Alaska is very low, less than 1 person per square kilometre. As a result, surface roads have not been constructed across most of the state, meaning that people have to make their own way around. There are some roads and rough tracks in place, but these can be difficult and dangerous to use for a number of reasons. Firstly, they are often covered in heavy snow or thick ice for much of the year. This makes them unusable. Secondly, the process of solifluction can cut off roads in the summer. Solifluction occurs when the permafrost begins to thaw. Only the top layer thaws out, leaving an impermeable frozen layer below, which waterlogged soil can slide over easily. In hilly areas, large amounts of soil and mud can accumulate at the base of the slopes, which can completely cover the roads that wind through valley floors. When this happens, it can cut off settlements for weeks or months. Thirdly, most of Alaska is covered in permafrost. The top layer melts during the summer, but the frozen layer below is impermeable and it stops the meltwater from infiltrating. This means that the land gets extremely waterlogged and is too dangerous to drive off-road on. Finally, the repeated cycle of seasonal melting and refreezing results in something called thermocast. This is extremely uneven marshy hollows like you can see on the screen, and it makes travel impossible in places. Finally, we're going to have a look at the issues we're building in Alaska. The active layer of permafrost melting provides a huge challenge when building in Alaska. Early settlers constructed homes which gave off heat from their bases, which melted the frozen ground below, making the ground unstable and causing subsidence. As a result, many of these homes had to be pulled down. Huge areas of Alaska have had their permafrost damaged because of this. Buildings today have to be built on piles that lift them above the surface of the ground to prevent melting. Many builders choose telescopic piles which expand and contract with ground movement. And most houses have steep roofs which enable the snow to slide off and triple glazed windows to prevent heat loss. Infrastructure also has to be carefully constructed. Roads are built on metre-thick gravel pads that prevent heat from tyres, exhaust fumes, etc. melting the ground below. And airport runways are painted white, which reflects the sunlight rather than absorbing heat like tarmac and concrete surfaces usually do. It also stops the ground warming up on sunny days. Despite its remoteness, Alaska is part of the USA, which is one of the most affluent countries in the world. So residents and visitors expect comfortable living conditions. They want to live or stay in buildings that are properly heated, and they want services such as sanitation, reliable electricity, and hot showers to help them thaw when they've been out in the cold all day. In the UK, we use underground pipes to provide essential water and sewage services to buildings. However, in Alaska, these have to be constructed above ground with water heated to stop it freezing and pipes bursting. They need to be raised slightly off the ground and well insulated to prevent them thawing the permafrost, but also to enable regular maintenance. That concludes this Tutor to You revision video focusing on the challenges found in the cold environment of Alaska. Thank you for watching.